everyone. Welcome to Press Play, our public relations podcast. Today, we are talking about something that I think every single one of us has been through, some crazy stuff when mistakes happen, flops happen, blunders, cringeworthy things happen. They're funny, and we've gotten some responses that were really, really good and even contributed our own. In fact, I'm gonna start with one as I just jump in because one of them that I saw was about matching uniforms, that the PR person showed up to the news station wearing the same exact outfit as their client, and people in the newsroom were like, "Oh, you guys even matched each other," and it was awkward, and there was this awkward laugh. And if you noticed and if you look closely, we are all wearing pink. There you go. So that's why I bring that up, because we did not plan that. So here with me is Elizabeth Domenech and Ashley Pontius, our dream team. And we are here to just talk about these funny things that happen. So I know we all have had them, but yeah, so the matching uniforms was, I showed up to a media interview with the exact same dress as my client. We didn't plan it. The crew kept saying, "Wow, you guys are matching." And we were like, so yeah, that's pretty awkward. But that's like the benign scale. Wouldn't you guys think? Like, not ideal, but like
Not
nothing
ideal,
bad.
but funny, I guess. And apparently, we all decided today that we were pink on Wednesdays. So that's ours today.
Yeah. Yep. So the next one I have, someone wrote into us that their client was like a really great client, and they were pitching them all the time, pitching them, and they were on this show a lot, but then all of a sudden the producer started ghosting them. How about I just read their message? So I had a client, this isn't from me, it's from someone else, but I had a client that normally did well during media interviews. A particular producer booked them a lot. All of a sudden, the producer started to ghost me. I wondered why, so I picked up the phone. She said that she was glad I called because she didn't want to put it in writing, but that my client acted like Kanye West interrupting Taylor Swift's speech. He was apparently rude, loud, and interrupted their live newscast. I nearly died. I apologized heavily and had to talk with the client. Ugh.
That one hurts.
That's always so awkward. And it puts you in such a bad position because it's your contact when that happens and a client acts poorly or inappropriately.
And I just always like
Awkward,
pray.
too.
Yeah, it is awkward. And then I pray like the producer just doesn't like ghost me in general.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't that person.
But I think that's awesome that that person picked up the phone and called and asked instead of just
Yeah.
letting it go, because then she knew and hopefully was able to repair the
That's
relationship
right.
with the producer.
Yeah, way to go. How about another person wrote to us. I had a client that we had to reschedule an interview because their Botox had gone wrong. I did end up salvaging the interview and getting another person at the organization to handle it, but I scrambled a bit because I couldn't tell the reporter the real reason why. Oh, just something funny, right? Like
That's a new one. I've never heard.
right? Yeah, Botox gone wrong. So, and it can happen, and then you don't want to be on camera. So,
Right.
kind of a
I
funny
hope they
one.
told them that was the reason.
They didn't. They found someone else and had to just move on and not say why. Yeah, their Botox looks crazy. No, imagine they didn't say that. All right, next one. It was a client interview happening at 4 a.m. I was observing and making sure they showed up and everything went smoothly. I forgot my video was on, and my client and news crew got to see my crazy bed hair and tired facial expressions. I was basically there with my eyes closed. I did this during the entire interview.
That's like my worst nightmare. That my camera is on and I'm looking crazy. Yeah, That's a bad one, but at least it was just a producer that saw that person apparently.
The
Imagine,
client saw too.
but not the whole world.
And
That's a good point.
your broadcast.
That's a great point. I think that's like so easy to happen to everybody. I think that that's like, that is for me another thing like on my worst nightmare list is just the video and how comfortable we are with it on now, and just I don't really think about it, and ooh, yeah.
It's too. It's happened to me during a client meeting where that was late. Elizabeth remembers this. It
I
was
was
late
just
at
gonna
night,
say that.
and I was laying in bed, and somehow I punched the button and turned the video on, and I was just like laying back on my pillow, listening
I,
to the
I have
call.
to say, I texted her, so I
She
got your back.
did. She saved me. But it's
Elizabeth has saved me more than once on the texting. Hey, Jennifer, your camera or your microphone is on or whatever. And I'm like, gosh, she's so good.
Well, when you're in PR, you have to be very aware. I had a client once that he had a condition really. It wasn't that he did it on purpose, but he got like a little when he talked, he got something like in his mouth, and I knew it, and just I didn't want people to pick on him, so I would always stand next to him, and I would give him like water or a hand, like a little napkin or something, so he would look good on camera. Because at the end of the day, the whole image of our clients is part of our job.
Yeah, that's so nice. Oh my goodness. Um, Here's another funny one that we received. Early on in my career, I was writing an email to a person I was interested in, asking if they wanted to have a romantic dinner this weekend, telling them I really liked them. Instead, I sent the email to a reporter, and they added very attractive, that I was working with on an interview. They didn't respond, thankfully. So what they're saying is they were really trying to ask someone out on a date, but instead they like hit the message or sent the message to a reporter.
Was the
How
reporter single?
they wrote attractive. I don't know, but they never responded. So
it's awkward.
that can happen
That
too.
could
And I don't know what
Wrong
do you
email.
guys think they should do? Should they have like
Wrong person. So sorry.
wrong person?
What if they were gonna respond and
Oh,
like retracted the invitation?
That would have been funny. Be like, yeah, when do you want to go out?
and then that's when you can't say wrong person, because now that oh sad. It can happen. It can happen. My personal story with that is it's not media related, but and it's not romantic related. I just was writing about my weekend, just like, hey, you want to go here? And I sent it to a client. And I thought, oh my God, the client probably thinks that like I want to hang out with him. And he did not respond to me. So
He didn't want to hang out. He missed out.
she was like, what's going on? But mine was very benign. It was not romantic in nature at all. So
We had not so long ago, we were sending out a press release and it said 2030 in the headline. It said 2030 in the first paragraph of the pitch, but then we did some highlights and the first bullet said 2023. And thankfully, not a lot of people apparently noticed, but there was just one reporter that was like, you should correct your highlights. And I'm like, well, it's clearly 2030. We're in 2024.
we're people, we're humans. Give us a break too.
Exactly. We're not
Reporters
robots here.
do, yeah. They do like to, anytime you have like a spelling or any little thing, they'll email. I get it. It's because they get so many pitches. And
Yeah,
so they're,
true.
if you're gonna pitch me, make it correct.
Yes. This next one, I've pitched people before at competitor companies because they somehow ended up on a media list. Okay, first of all, I have to say, Why is that happening? Because it is easy to happen, right? Like, come on, we want our software company to look into that.
Better.
Yeah,
Be
the
better.
databases, I don't know how I don't know if it's they get flagged as a thought leader somehow, and then like if they have their own newsletter or blog or something, and then they get added to the databases, but it's happened to me. I mean, pretty much every software I've ever used,
Yes.
it's happened. And it's easy. And then sometimes you end up like emailing a competitor news or an interview request, and it's embarrassing. And
I've
usually
seen,
the reply too, because
oh,
that's
that's the worst. I've seen that a lot in the finance industry as well. Like a bank will be asking for someone to weigh in on a financial topic, and I'm like, I don't know that my bank client wants to be on another bank's website, and it's just I don't get why that happens, but
that too.
uh
The misspellings of the names, is the first names is also, that's like classic. It's very easy to get confused, and yeah, they don't like it either.
and I will just say, sorry, Melissa. There's a Melissa out there that hey, my sister's name is Melissa, and so I'm used to spelling it one way, and her name had one S, and I just keep writing the two S's, and no wonder why she wasn't responding to me.
She wasn't your friend. You know what happened to me once? And this goes back to us being very aware of the surroundings. I got to an interview and I didn't realize it was at a bank, and I didn't realize that they had a TV and they had Bay News 9 on the TV, and they were doing an interview with ABC Action News. So that got a little awkward, but thankfully the reporter was friendly, so he didn't mind. It was cool. But yeah, that's something that can happen as well.
That happened to me before too. It's like, because they're panning and they're getting certain shots, and they're like, would you mind turning off that TV? And I'm like, oh, I should have thought of that. And that was, early on in my career, but I was like, oh, then I never forgot it after that.
We live and we learn.
How about this? So this is someone wrote this. I had a client go around me one time and reach out to the journalist because she had canceled an interview. He contacted her on Twitter and was asking her why she had to reschedule. She was less than happy, and I had to have a conversation with the client as well.
This happened to me. This was mine, and
Oh!
it was even worse than that. The reporter was so mad. And this is a tech reporter, like a really good tech reporter. And it was a startup client who was, doing a raise. They were like unveiling their first big product, and she was going to cover it, but she had to reschedule. And the client reached out, and she thought they were kind of trying to like pressure her to do a story or something. So she actually tweeted about it. Like she tweeted something kind of snarky and
Negative?
didn't actually say their name, but like said something rhymes with such and such. It was horrible.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was really, really terrible. One of my worst days in my career.
What did you do,
Um,
Ashley?
We dropped them as a client at the company I was at because it was such a big thing. And it wasn't the first thing that had happened with them. And so yeah, we uninvited them to be a client. And I just had to apologize to the reporter. Like there was nothing I could do. I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were reaching out to you.
Mm, that's a very bad
gosh.
position
Yeah.
to be in.
Awful. Yeah.
They got uninvited to the party.
They did. They did.
Terrible. That is another nightmare. Yep. This
Definitely.
This next one says, this one's kind of similar to the video, but during a live interview setup, I forgot to mute my mic while observing the interview. The news station heard my background on live TV. This was off hours, so I was simultaneously doing the dishes and clanking the dishes around. This was on national news too.
Oh no, that's like the camera, having your camera on. It's
Yeah.
so easy to have happen.
It's easy. Don't worry, sister, whoever sent that in, or brother, you're fine. This next one says, a colleague of mine accidentally sent out an embargoed press release ahead of schedule without embargo written on it. So the press release was announcing a product and it hit the inboxes of journalists early, and they had to issue a correction, but explain to their client. I think that's the worst. Is, I mean, the correction I'll admit I've had to issue a correction before, but I hate when you have to tell your client.
Yeah. That's one of my like paranoias. Anytime I have an embargoed release or anything, I'm like always double checking the date and time 3 times. And I like wake up in the middle of the night worried about it. Because it can happen.
It can happen. Be careful with embargoes. We're here to help you. Gosh, absolutely. This next one's, I totally can understand this next one. I think I've been through this too, but a client kept mispronouncing the journalist name on live television. They were coached prior, but it just didn't stick. Yeah, when they're like, Deanna instead of Diana or whatever it is, and you're like, no, it's the other one. It's just, when you coach them, you want them to remember those things.
Yeah.
Especially if they're like, I'm a fan of the show. But
It's
if they
embarrassing.
were, they'd probably know the name. Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, we have a few more, but these are just hilarious. And I think the point of this is like, we're not making fun of anybody. I think the point of this is you might as well learn from these things. We're all human. We all do it. I'll probably make a mistake tomorrow. And we're human, and why not learn from some of these and commiserate with each other a bit. But media relations is really tricky, especially when you're just what we talked about, dealing with embargoed press releases, national news, very short timelines, specialized reporters, and yeah, you want to get ahead, right? And so,
I think you have a great point too. A lot of people think that if you're in public relations, you're just writing press releases and that's very easy and you send them out and that's it. But there's so much that goes into it and so many steps and so many things that can go wrong at the same time that you have to be very careful and very focused and very strategic, and it's a lot that goes into even just one press release.
Absolutely.
Well, if you watching this want to add to the list, you send us an email, we will add, and hang in there. We're all the same, and that we're human. And hard work pays off, and I also believe that being honest about blunders and mistakes is the key. So
Absolutely.
well, thanks for watching, and tune in next time.